is 1959, and there's a new sci-fi B movie on the block. Connor, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about none other than The Angry Red Planet from the American Danish director, excuse me if I get the pronunciation wrong, Jorgen Melchior, I think it is.
It was a bit of a mouthful.
It is, yeah. I mean, there's more to the name, but that's what I kind of briefed it down to. But yeah, we're looking at The Angry Red Planet from 1959, which is the first B movie that we've looked at on this channel, which is
excluding
very excited.
Godzilla.
Well, okay, it's the first American B movie then.
Yeah.
Should I say, which usually have the reputation to be quite naff. So this got me really excited because, like found footage films in the last episode that we did, I really love B movies as well. So I'm in my fucking element at the moment. But this is a a strange sci-fi sort of B movie which revolves pretty much around the recollection of a mission to Mars that was undertaken by the four main characters, who are Dr. Iris Ryan, Colonel Thomas O'Banion, Professor Theodore Gettle, and Officer Sam Jacobs. And pretty much we begin with, I guess, their equivalent to Houston, so to speak. Like Mission Control have been worried that the ship's gone missing on a mission to Mars. They see it in the atmosphere suddenly out of nowhere, and they get them back down to Earth and ask basically what the hell happened, because when they go inside the ship to retrieve the crew, one of them's got a sort of strange injury or strange thing going on, and Dr. Iris, she tells everyone what happened, and the whole story is the recollection of their journey, and it's out there, I have to say.
Are you hurt?
No.
From the off, I can't work out how I know I enjoyed it, but I can't work out how much I enjoyed it, because it was silly, it was strange, but there were some really daft things in there and really quite nitpicky things which bothered me, which I'll get to in a moment. But you know, the story, I found it to be quite intriguing. It was quite a good idea. I don't know what year that the film is set in. I know it's obviously in 1959. I can only assume that it wasn't set during 1959 as well, because it's a human expedition to Mars, which we haven't even really accomplished now. So there's no information at all when it's set, but it appears to be quite futuristic, or as futuristic as it can be. But yeah, it's a very interesting watch. What did you think about it?
Yeah. So my experience with like old school sci-fi B movies is usually you kind of have to sit through a lot of boring like schlock to get to like the good stuff. And sometimes the good stuff is like worth the trudging through. But I feel like this one gets close. I don't want to I don't want to be super negative like I was on the last review, because I definitely had fun, but because like you know what you're going in for when you go for an old sci-fi B movie, you know what you're in for. But I feel like this one, there is a lot of boring shit to get through until you get to the fun cheesy moments that like are almost worth the time. But what I will say is I appreciated everything on the actual Angry Red Planet. every time it went back, I was, or that when they're in the spaceship or it goes back to Earth, I was out.
Yeah, it's it kind of gets your attention for a couple of minutes, and then before you've had a chance to really get into it, it suddenly does cut back to the spaceship and or Earth. And for those who haven't seen it, I'm sure there'll be clips and whatnot. But
I'm sure there'll be many who haven't seen this.
Yes,
but yeah.
Yeah. Every time, so they fly to Mars and land, and it's all very easy, which kind of bothered me. And then when they step outside the ship, it's a B movie which is in color as well, which is also worth noting, because not a lot of American ones are, and sometimes some people find it easier or more enjoyable to watch things in color, so I guess it's got that going for it. But then they take the piss with the color, because when they land on Mars, they're in the spaceship, it's regular color. When they step outside onto the Martian surface, the whole thing is red. It's ridiculous. It's got like I don't know how they did it, whether
it's
like,
they
filmed with like a gel over it or whatnot, like a gel sheet, but it's ridiculous.
It's almost like infrared.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Yeah.
and that kind of, dare I call it, like a stylistic approach, if you will, as
Oh, for sure.
it has it's flawed. I'm sorry, it is. I
Okay.
get why they're doing it, but there's just weird the whole thing's red, but then there's weird light blotches which come up all over the place, and you can't really, sometimes you can't make out what the actual set or the things are in the set or the background. Like, you've got all these strange massive plants and stuff, which you obviously know Mars doesn't have in real life, but in the film it's got all these weird spiraling trees and carnivorous plants and stuff, and you can only really see them if they're standing next to them. So I get why they did it, but it's just a detriment to everything else, because to be honest, the set, whilst okay, it's a bit cheap and cheesy and stuff, and it's just drawings or cardboard cutouts, or just painted onto wood or something. I guess it could look quite effective if they just kept it in regular color, but the fact that the whole thing just washed with this weird red thing, it does a massive detriment to all of it, and it actually makes it look cheaper than it probably would if they didn't do it. And to be honest, they spent a fair bit on this film as well. It's $200,000, which back then for a B movie as well, mind, which
it's
stereotypically ones which were shown before feature-length films as the kind of, watch it if you want or not, maybe you'll enjoy it. That's a lot of money to be spent, and I mean, there's some other B movies like Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, which was like $82,000 or something, and Tarantula, which I think was like $150,000. So this is, and that, they're relatively okay. So this actually spent above that, but the whole thing just looked so cheap. And I mean, the dialogue and stuff, like you mentioned, it was boring, and it kind of just was just there just to fill the gaps, because they're there for five days in this expedition, so you can't have them going outside, because I think they only spend 3 days there, I think it is, and that you have them going outside for each of the 3 days, but then when they go back, they're just sat around talking. And the only good thing or entertaining part of the dialogue is how fucking creepy Colonel Thomas Banyan is. So you've got Iris that he calls Irish, and she claims it's because of her nationality, even though she's American.
Yeah, I thought that was odd as well.
So she's basically just ginger, and that's why he calls her Irish. And he blatantly likes her, and I think she either likes him back or she's trying to play hard to get or whatever.
It's never clear.
But there's this weird awkward tension between them. I don't know if you could call it a sexual or romantic tension, but it's really fucking weird to watch.
Makes Broadway look like a dark alley.
When we get back, Irish, how about exploring that dark alley? Together?
You, Colonel, sir, may have a date.
You've got the other character, Professor, forgotten his name already, Professor Theodore Gettle, who's trying to be kind of all professional, and then you kind of got this the Sam character, who I don't really know why he's there. He doesn't do anything. It's a team of 4, an expedition to Mars. You'd think each of them plays a really important role, but really he just stands there cracking wise and looking out the window for the whole first day. He gets told by the commander-in-chief to just stay, looking out the window. Is he the
one who dies?
Yes, he does die. He gets
swallowed in Jello.
Yeah, I was about to mention, actually, whilst this film does look silly, there are you do experience some life forms on Mars. So you get to see the Martians themselves, which are these really weird, strange, triangular sort of shape. They look like Patrick Star from SpongeBob with 3 eyes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
The shape of them, and you see them briefly. So they're the Martians, and then you get this weird kind of gelatinous mass coming out of this lake that they're rowing on, which eventually kills the Sam character. And that one looked a bit silly, especially with its rotating eye. It's got a semi-spherical eye just sat on it, and it's spinning round. And then you get the weird, and I shit you not, this is what they've called it, the spider rat bat creature, which is what you see on the front cover, which it looks ridiculous, but I found that to be quite cool to look at as well. I thought it was very out there. There's nothing like it I've seen in any sort of sci-fi or B movie for that matter. And it was so cool that I actually found out when doing my research that an American band called Misfits actually featured it on their album cover.
Oh wow.
So that itself kind of had a little legacy, but that was kind of all shunned over with this weird red. Just
see, I really liked the redness. So I think I thought it kind of made it stand out quite a bit. And I know like obviously technically it's like 60 years old. They don't have technical wise it's not exactly gonna age amazingly watching it in this time. But I thought it kind of made it stand out from the crowd a little bit of like all the B movies back then, and kind of gave it this weird like surreal atmosphere. Especially, and there was some cool like shots and moments, especially when they like first like find the lake. There's this really cool shot where they all are just kind of like standing over it, and they're like their reflections are in it. And the music building up. It's kind of eerie and it builds the atmosphere really well. And I thought like overall the red tone gave it just like a unique edge. And like sure it hasn't aged particularly well, but what films from over 60 years ago have?
Aim for the eyes, Sam. Blind it. Yes.
It's a B movie. You know the dialogue's gonna be crap. You know the screenplay is gonna be just building up for nothing else, just to show you the monsters. I kind of like the designs of the monsters. Quickly going back to them, I thought they were kind of fun and unique. But yeah, man, like my mind just switched off every time there wasn't a monster on screen. Not to sound like a child, but my mind just I was not taking it in. I was not entertained. But that's hence why I'm much more quiet in this review and not as energetic, just because this film didn't really do anything for me. It didn't ignite anything. It just kind of left me stale. I was like, it's just a B movie with a cool red filter over it. That's its selling point.
You have to like, I mean, the one thing I say because like I said, I love B movies so much. I mean, the DVD collection behind me there is just all B movies, including this one. And I always say to people, you do have to watch them and with a pinch of salt. You do have to take them for what they are. Okay, back then, not so. Well, maybe with this one, they looked a lot more impressive back then, and none of them have aged well. Of course, they haven't. But you need you don't need a pinch of salt with this one. You need a fucking tablespoon.
Like all movies, if you're in the right mindset, you can sit back and enjoy it. Even if you're with friends, for example, these type of movies are best watched with alcohol or friends. I said the same for Exists, which is a very different type of movie, but it's just all about your mindset. And I don't think I was in the best. I think you have to be in a very particular frame of mind, and I don't think I was in that frame of mind when watching this. So hence why I don't have too much to say, but I'm glad I watched it. I wouldn't personally recommend it, but it's good fun. It's like lining up for a roller coaster for an hour, and then you get about 10 minutes of fun. I don't know if the line is worth it. That's what I'm going to say.
It's like queuing up for Stealth at Thorpe Park, isn't it? It's just like, all I can say, I guess, about this film is it's just there. It exists. It's a film that has been made and has been watched. And if you want to be one of the people that watches it, cool. You're not going to get that time back, and you probably could spend the time watching something better. But if you want to try and experiment and watch it, then give it a go. It's a quirky, strange 50s B movie. So why not? Exactly.